Hello and welcome to this originally produced podcast from the Office of Global Perspectives and International Initiatives. I'm Brandon Garrett, the Puerto Rico Research Hub intern for GPII, here with my fellow intern Noah Mohammedelamien.
Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Iven Yorick Fenker and Sonali Beher. They are two students from the Literature Institute of Leipzig, here today on behalf of the Goethe-Institut as a part of their exchange program. Among Friends on the Road, Iven has undertaken a career as a writer, filmmaker, and journalist. He has written for news outlets in Berlin, received a Youth Jury Prize for his filmmaking, and his writings have been nominated for awards. Ms. Sonali Beher, on the other hand, is a promising writer, possessing an educational background in political science and English, alongside her support of political NGOs. She focuses her essays on poetry, prose, and recently staged a play in Vienna, Austria. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here with us today. We're very glad to have you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank
Very
you.
excited.
Glad to be here.
So our first question that we have, how would you define the Among Friends on the Road program? What have your experiences been like so far, and why did you choose to do this?
We started our journey on the road in New York, and for me, this is the second time that I am here in the United States, but the first time I've just been to New York, so for me it's really the first time that I am outside of New York, and I'm seeing different places, a lot of different places, and we are meeting a lot of different people, and we are reading at a lot of different places, and it's been very interesting to start from New York, going to Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Washington, Charlotte. I surely forgot some of the smaller places, but Atlanta too. And
One
now,
of the smaller places.
yeah, and now we're here, and yeah, it's been very interesting. Like I think the main thing is to really get to meet as many people, and to have different conversations about literature, art, and basically what is going on in Germany, Europe, the United States, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why the Among Friends program is so great, or is such a great opportunity, because basically the whole concept is to send two young writers, and what I find so great is that it's young writers who maybe aren't like yet the like big shot best-selling very famous writers, but young people who also have maybe a different perspective, and send them along the East Coast. And I think for me that's also such a privilege. Last time I was in the U.S. was 8 years ago, when I studied in Seattle for a year. So that was during the first Trump presidency. Now I'm during the second. My friends always joke, I only come here when Trump is president, which is not true. And I think it's very interesting times in America, but also in Germany. And I think we're dealing with a lot of very similar issues, and that's why we were interested in participating and having the conversations we have in Germany also here, and maybe getting some new perspectives.
Thank you so much. Based on your educational, literary, and general experiences in the U.S. and in Germany, what differences do you see in the overall education and writing processes between our two countries? Are there any benefits or limitations to the other?
Good question.
This is a very good question. When it comes to education and literary institutes, what I think one big difference is that in Germany there are not as many opportunities as in America to pursue creative writing as an education. We've got two literature institutes, one in Leipzig where we study and one in Hildesheim, and then there are also two others in the German-speaking world, so one in Austria and one in Switzerland. I think that, of course, the countries are much smaller than the US, but to get into one of these writing institutes is limited, which already I think makes it a bit more difficult. Whereas in the US, what I appreciate is that, now you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but there are creative writing. You can take creative writing courses in all kinds of universities, right? And also as an elective and
just general programs, 100%.
Yeah, and that's what I think is great, because you can sort of dabble, right? And I think is instead of like deciding to pursue a whole degree. So that's one good thing, I think.
Yeah, for example, for me it was the third try to get into the Deutsches Literaturinstitut in Leipzig. Like I applied for the first time when I was 18, like right after I finished high school. And yeah, I developed as a writer, but I had to like do it out of in like context of academia or something. I mean, sure, there are writing courses all over, but I think for the most of them you have to pay, or you really have to know them, or you at least have to be like in one of the bigger cities. And like me growing up in a pretty small town, there surely haven't been like opportunities for that. So and also like when you applied at our institute, you have to kind of like already at least be a writer, or at least know what your way of writing is or something, because like you have to at least like the first time you have to get invited like through your text being screened and being chosen to get invited for a conversation, and then you'll have to answer why you are writing the way you write, and how your writing is maybe, are you planning your writing to maybe gonna develop or change or something. And yeah, like very or questions that you have to be on a certain point already in your way of becoming a writer. And because of course you are a writer when you write. It's just simple, you're just a writer, but it's very limited actually.
And yet maybe on the other hand, once you're in, it's free, right? And that's, I think, a huge difference when it comes to all kinds of fields, when it comes to education, but especially when it comes to the arts, is that universities or like participating or studying at a university in Germany doesn't cost nothing, but it costs like, I mean, compared to American education, I mean, we pay €600 a year, and of course also coming from a background that wouldn't is not that privileged. I would have never been able to pursue writing or the arts if I had to pay for it, and if there was a financial thing attached to it.
And actually, like the last time through the application process, I was because always there are students who sit on the like decision committee or something. Like students have a voice to vote basically for or against the text on a certain place, and it was on the one hand a very interesting experience, but also a very, like for me, very difficult thing to read so many interesting texts from very different people. And I think that's the thing which is difficult about whether like talking about art and judging about a text, whether it is good art or maybe even not bad art, but like a text on which the person, I don't know, should not get the chance to get the education.
Yeah.
It's just hard, you know.
Interesting. It seems very merit-based in Europe, while at the same time, we seem to have more of a generalized education.
Yeah, definitely. Whereas merit as well in Europe is also, I mean, is who gets to act out on their on their potential, who gets to develop that potential. I think that's also not only merit-based in Germany, definitely. But yeah, you're definitely right.
Yeah. Perhaps it's due to the limited options, but yeah.
Well, thank you. While you are both authors, your work explores different themes. Ms. Sonali, you recently staged your play Mensch-mit-Kopf, and Mr. Iven, you were the director of a film, The Chestnut Tree. Could you each tell us a bit about these projects, what inspired them, and what sort of topics you guys are interested in?
Yeah, so the Mensch-mit-Kopf, which translated means a human with a head, it was called like a mini play, so much shorter than a short play even. And I got interested in that because at the same time when I got interested in theatre, which was 2 years ago when I started studying at the University of Leipzig at that literature program, and my professor introduced me to these mini plays that were especially like, I think at the turn of the 20th century was popular, or like even before, which are very short plays that have almost like a punchline to it. They can be 2 lines long, they can be 3 pages long, and it's one topic, one punchline. And that way of writing I really enjoyed because it's a way to sort of I'm just going to do a cut there. Well, anyways, and my my play Mensch-mit-Kopf was at a time where I'm a professional overthinker. I like dissect everything in my head, and it's about a woman who goes into the doctor's office and says that she's worried that she has forgotten how to taste. She cannot remember what it's like to taste. And so she sort of talks to her doctor about that. And I think what I'm interested in is, in general, is like the individual lives of people, but also like the day-to-day. And of course, always how it relates to politics as well, but also in this case, like the kind of quirks that we all deal with, that we have on a day-to-day, the way that we sort of in the modern world, we sometimes are so disconnected from our outside world that we even can like talk ourselves into the fact that we have forgotten what chocolate tastes like because we have to intellectualize everything. And I think these kind of quirks are also what makes us human, but also what makes us a modern human. It makes us sort of human in a way, even though it's totally unhuman or unnatural. And I find these sort of paradoxes very, very fascinating. So, yeah.
Great.
So, yeah, I did the film The Chestnut Tree together with Simon Dalla Sera, who's a filmmaker and also a very good friend of mine. And I came up with this idea because at that time I was living in Berlin, in Berlin Mariendorf, and we had this garden like behind the house. We were living, and by we I mean me and many of my closest friends, because the house belongs to the family of one of my best friends in Berlin. That's why with the high rent prices, we kind of like all happened to move there at some point, and we were all looking at this giant, beautiful chestnut tree. And it became sick, actually.
The chestnut tree?
Yeah.
Oh.
Then it became sick because of basically climate change and the stress due to the longer heat periods. And there's this this insect which kind of like crawled into the leaves of this tree, and yeah. So one day the mother of one of my closest friends just told me, yeah, we have to cut this tree. And I had immediately this thought that I kind of like had to film this, like the process of cutting down this huge tree. But that took a while because in the end, there appeared some hope, and the hope was birds, actually, because they've at some point, like little sparrows, they found out that they could eat these insects. And yeah, but by that way, by like the time they discovered that, already I think like 2 or 3 years have passed by, and me and Simon, we were filming the chestnut tree, filming in spring, summer, during autumn, during winter, while it was raining, while there was sunshine, while there was basically everything. And we kind of like, we were always waiting for the tree to not to die, but we were waiting to film the cutting of the tree. But yeah, we then, because of that, we never kind of like finished this film, and we kind of like just kept on filming, and then we both wanted to write something about the chestnut tree, but because of this delay, we just did not know what to write, actually. And then we wrote anyway, and so we wrote about us, the people living there, actually, by the tree. And so the complete project turned into actually a film about living together in a city and living together with a tree.
I think that's very interesting because, typically people would see a tree and just say it's a tree, but you like made an entire story about it, like a meaning, a purpose to that. And I think that's very cool and shows your creative talent.
And actually, the tree speaks in the film too.
So humanizes it more.
Yeah.
Very Heideggerian, actually. That's interesting. All right, my next question for you guys is, given this polarized and globalized environment, how do you see literature helping people understand each other better?
Well, I think, as I said before, I have a huge and very deep belief in the arts, and especially in literature, because I think the essence of literature is empathy. I think reading is a practice or an exercise in empathy, especially like given our current way to sort of get information or get in contact with other people, which is very short-lived. We look at reels, we read articles that tell us how long the like average amount of time, to read that article and stuff like that. So it's very short-lived, and it's also chosen for us. And I think the difference in literature is that it's one of the very special, unique moments where you as a reader has to shut up and listen to someone else, for a very long time, in all its ambiguity, and without like having this one like soundbite coming away from this one with one soundbite or with one message or with one argument, but more like, I've quoted that before, that Michael Ende, that phenomenal children's book writer who's written the Never-Ending Story on Momo, and he has this fantastic quote where he says that good literature is like a mountain or the ocean or a chestnut tree. It's like these things in life, and I would also like add is like a person. It's a person that cannot. It's a thing that stands for itself and cannot be categorized and cannot be like defined with one thing. And I think that's the case for literature too. Good literature is always a reflection of the world, and I think why, especially now, it's so important to have that, to look at things that stand for itself instead of speaking for one side or the other, instead of being like partial. Like a mountain isn't partial, an ocean isn't partial. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't reflect on our world. We definitely should. And art does it in a way, I think, that it's like loving someone or talking to someone, spending a life with someone. It's like getting to know someone the way they are, maybe, and not just the way you see them or you want to sort of condense them, if that makes sense. And I think it's very, and especially with literature, it's become like one of these spaces are being eliminated, and it's like one of these, like, sort of, do you say that, oasis, or like these very like small spaces where this can still happen.
I think that literature has this enormous potential to force readers to spend time with characters, as you said it, in their whole complexity, and maybe also characters who are maybe not that likable or something, or not aligned with like necessarily the political beliefs of the reader or something. And I think that's a great thing to learn from literature and from reading texts, and also to enjoy, but also to reflect about the way a story is told, and by whom or by who a story is told, and what is left out, and to really think about the reason for that. In a novel, sure, it can be due to just pure, like on a greater scale, like climax, but really to also question the narrator, narrating characters and perspective. And yeah, I think that really literature is just like speaking. It's like it's all you have, or at the same time it's the one thing that everyone does have. Yeah.
It humanizes and sort of embodies our voices and the messages we want to carry in a way that certain abstract or, certain, philosophical or political treaties may not be able to do and deliver. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%. Thank you.
Thank you. And it kind of reminded me, you specifically talking about how, like, it's a separate space. Kind of reminds me of the idea of, like, a third place, I believe is what we call it in, like, America, like a house and then work and then where you go after that.
Yeah.
And I feel like describing literature as like a place kind of reminds me of like it's a place to escape or like a place to see something other than just like daily life, like see outside of that.
And and I also, absolutely. And I think there's like two sort of two images you can like put on that, right? Like on the one hand, it can be a third space, which I totally agree with as well. And then you said it humanizes it, like stuff. And I agree with you. And I'd also put on the table, it's essentially human. And it's like, is it not like the political treaties and the way we say there are sanctions on a, put on a country, or that many people have died during a bombing or something.
It's universal.
But these kinds of like I would argue that like these headlines, they are sort of inhuman, aren't they? Like the way we speak, we have to, of course, speak about these issues in a global way, in a structural way, so we can, like structurally understand the world we live in, are very important, but they are also sort of detached from a very human way, which is the one-on-one, you are a human and something is happening to you. And I think that is where literature comes in.
100%.
I just wanted to really quick add that like literature as a third place can also be like, especially I think like what we were talking about a lot, can be a place where you can just spend some time without, like besides from buying the book maybe, but without consuming anything or without having to pay.
Yeah.
Like, have actually a space, and you can do it at the public.
Work at it day by day, and you don't need a subscription.
Yeah.
Grab it and go.
Yeah. And even you can go to the library, and yet then you even don't have to pay for it. And that's beautiful.
Thank you. Just to wrap things up here with one final question. What message would you like people to take away most from your journey here? Why do you think initiatives like Among Friends on the road are so important?
The chestnut tree?
Yeah. Continue to talk to each other.
Discourse.
Yeah. Discourse, really. Talk to people. People who are talking don't kill each other.
I think what I've learned personally in the past 2-3 weeks is that I've definitely gained confidence as a writer, because especially I think as young people, especially as women, as people of color, as young women of color, is very easy to sort of think, what do I have to add? Like, does that even matter? And then you grow up in a country like Germany or America where you're bombarded with, we live in a democracy, and you're like, all right, we live in a democracy, so that's going to take care of itself. And I think in the past 3 weeks, I've really, really saw, oh my God, now is the time to do stuff. Like, you have to do stuff. Like, this is it. This is the moment where you write and you go to the streets and you open your mouth and you speak about stuff, you talk about stuff. And you're not too young and you're not whatever. So have that confidence and do what you want to do and do stuff for the people. Because if you don't do it now, who knows if you can do it in a couple of years.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Iven and Miss Sonali, for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. We appreciate your time and look forward to seeing the continued impact of your work.
Make sure to stay up to date with all our future events and initiatives at ucfglobalperspectives.org. That's all for this episode. See you all next time, and thank you so much.
Thank you.